Marhaba. Hello once again to all our friends, brothers, and sisters around the world who are friends, as we are, of the Palestinian people and their cause for justice in Palestine, in Israel today. That is Thursday, February 23rd, 2023, 54 days into the new year, and more than 50 Palestinians have been killed in recent arrest raids on the city of Nablus and in other places in the occupied territory. In response, Hamas has foolishly again launched rockets toward Israel, a few paltry, miserable weapons that are responded to with F-18, F-36, and other heavy modern jets screaming over Gaza, its men, women, senior citizens, and children, bombing, firing artillery shells, which Muhammad has said are the worst because they're unguided. They never quite really know where they're going to land. So there you are in a devastated, bombed out ruin of a place, surrounded with barbed wire, tanks, and weapons. You can never leave, as far as we know. There's no good water to drink. Food shortages are rampant. Hospital care, medicine, vitamins, all the necessaries of life, you can almost imagine what these people have struggled with. As you look at the ruins of Turkey and Ukraine right now, brothers and sisters, I hope you realize that that has been the condition in Gaza for at least 15 years, and there's no way out, and there's no help coming in, virtually none. So, where do these people look for hope? One is, well, since they can't look at Israel or Hamas or the Palestinian Authority or the EU, so far, other Arab countries, they look at you. They look at you and me. And for us to stay aware of what is happening to them by no fault of their own, we ask always that people contact their own governments. First of all, what can I do? Contact your own government, email, phone call, letters, maybe more than one, and demand the changes to the policies that are either in supporting or indifferent to the apartheid system in Israel, which is making life more and more unlivable. That is its only apparent goal. Second, practice BDS, boycott, divest, and sanctions against products that are created in Israel in occupied territories. That definition, by the way, comes from the United Nations and a whole history of scholarship on where the peoples belong, respectively. Third, Muhammad and I have a program going called Family to Family. My wife and I, have been helping his family as his two beautiful twin daughters have been born. We paid basically a very small sum for a year's worth of canned milk for them so that they could grow up healthy and strong, which is the case. We're helping them right now to expand their one room for five people living situation into a four-room situation for five people. And this is something you can do too. Look at Jack Dempsey Writer at WordPress.com, Jack Dempsey Writer at WordPress.com to see photographs of Muhammad's family, beautiful, wonderful people that we've come to know over 2 years or so. And if you want to get involved, Muhammad, as a respected member of his community, he's a historian and writer, can connect you with, well, any number of people who would be so grateful to know, A, that you care, that you're interested in helping them, and then through your own friendship with them, figuring out what is the best way to help them. Maybe a bottle of aspirin once a month. They cannot receive books, mail. All they can do is what we do, use Western Union, no NGOs, no banks, no profits involved for anybody, directly helping these people. And you can see week by month by year the good effects of what you're doing. You're reaching over these impossible walls of confinement to help these people feel hope that there is a life ahead for them. As always, I talked too much in the beginning, Muhammad, but there's so much to efficiently introduce about what the heck it is we're trying to do and talk about in these programs. So tell us the latest. You, as I mentioned, uh, talked about fighter jets flying, screaming with thunder over the population of Gaza, terrorizing the children. You bought your beautiful son a set of headphones so he could listen to music and somehow escape from this horrific situation. What is the latest that you as a Palestinian understand what's going on, Muhammad? And what do you expect?
Hello, brother. Thank you for this new opportunity. I am happy again to speak with you and to all of our friends from all over the world. As you just mentioned, brother, today we got up from our sleeping on the screaming of the aircrafts in our skies. It was very, very, very crazy sounds. I I could see the pilot from the from the aircraft.
Well,
They are flying very, very close to the land, not in the high skies. The voice is something I cannot describe it. Very, very, very huge voice.
if I can help
So
Mohammed for
many.
1 second, where we live in Crete, I'm American historian Jack Dempsey, by the way, but I live in Crete nowadays. There's a military base and international airport right near our home, and fighter jets often fly over this area too. And what Mom is describing when they come in so low to the ground is that, let's say you're standing on a peaceful street or a beach or something, and suddenly over the horizon, in the less than the blink of an eye, there is a blast of thunder coming at you from the roar of this plane as it suddenly appears, tears the sky open over your head, and then disappears. And here comes another one, and here comes another one. Let alone if they're dropping bombs or weapons. It is the most
Yeah,
terrifying thing you can almost experience.
yeah, yeah, exactly, brother. You
This is every
described
day.
the situation. You described the situation exactly. Unfortunately, this is what happened here. But they are not flying friendly over our heads. In fact, they are flying to bomb and to make a shelling here and there between us, throwing their bombs, their missiles. And recently, in the recent years, they received very, very advanced missiles from USA. This missile go under the ground, maybe 15 to 20 meters, and after it penetrate to the
Yes,
underground, it make something like an earthquake. The
yes.
impact of this explosion doesn't affect only the targeted area, but it makes shaking and earthquake in the whole surrounding of the area. Yeah. So this what happened this morning, and beside that, I want to speak about something important. It's a strange phenomenon for me. Always, when I follow the news on internet, on TV, no one is speaking that Gaza is being hit all the time by the Israeli artillery. No one is speaking about this artillery. Believe me,
You're being
artillery is
shelled.
yeah, yeah. It's hellfire. It's something unbelievable. I think it's worse so many times than the aircraft's assaults and bombing, because as you just mentioned, when artillery make the shelling, it's not a controlled shelling, so you cannot expect where this shell is going to fall. Yeah. Uh, People here are very, very sad for what happened in Nablus and in West Bank. Today it was a day off in the schools, in the governmental associations and sectors. People are very, very angry for what happened. It was a strike here today. Even markets were closed
Mohammed,
today.
let
Yeah.
me ask you, how does the people, the average, everyday, ordinary citizen Palestinian, where does that anger go? You say they had strikes. You say they are feeling angry. Is it expressed toward Hamas, or are the
Yeah.
political demonstrations and strikes aligned with Hamas? Because, as in other programs we've talked about, Hamas does worse than nothing for the Palestinians. They're supported by Iran just to be a thorn in the side of the Israelis. They
Yeah.
would have no political standing with their own people if it wasn't for that outside money. And you have not had a free and fair open election for new leadership in what, 15 years, 18 years? You have not been allowed these things. What is the feeling toward Hamas then? And is there any address of the Palestinian people's anger toward Hamas?
People here always are blaming PA, Hamas, and Israel. Always they are attacking this trinity, Israel, Hamas, and PA. Always, not only what happened today, but always in the recent years, after each attack, after any war against Gaza, always people are attacking and are criticizing this trinity, Hamas, PA, and Israel, because all of them are responsible. Not only Israel, and not only Hamas, and not only PA. I think all of them are responsible. And beyond this scene, we have the superpowers who are supporting
Yes.
Hamas and supporting PA.
And supporting Israel.
Turkey, yeah, is exactly, of course. Turkey, who is a member in NATO, Turkey is supporting Hamas with money all the time. Even Qatar, which hosts the biggest American air bases in the Middle East. Qatar is supporting Hamas. Also, PA is supported by the European Union. And as you know, Israel is supported by all the West, by NATO, by USA, by all those countries. So this tragedy is happening always, and people here are blaming the Trinity, Israel, Hamas, and PA, and beyond them, the superpower country which support them.
And for the discussion, Mohammed, of that trinity, the local leadership, so-called Hamas, PA, Israel itself, and the apartheid system. I mean, I would think people would have their hands like this, that you would say, what in the world do they think they are doing? There are 2.5 million people living in Gaza in an already bombed out ruin. They decide that the next best response they can master to the arrests in Nablus and the killings of more than 10 Palestinians, 103 people shot or injured during this latest raid. It just gets worse and worse. Is this the only response that the geniuses behind Hamas can organize in order to help the Palestinian people? Because none of that support money, you've used the word support several times here, none of that money ever trickles down into the ordinary people's pockets. It's all being siphoned off. Well, there you are. We have got to reach in then and keep the Palestinian people strong, I think, so that hope can emerge from their hearts and that they will find the organization and courage to create themselves a new leadership. There is no hope without good leaders. And you have great people who want to lead, do you not?
Of course, brother. In fact, as a Palestinian people, as a Palestinian youth, we have a big hope. But unfortunately, we have a corruption. This corruption is hindering our hope for a better
Yes,
tomorrow,
yes.
for a better future. As I told you last time, we are victims for the corruption of all those parts, Israel, Hamas, and PA. And I want to give you an example. Now, as a Muhammad, if my wife asked me that our sugar is run out and please go out to the grocery to buy us some sugar. If I want to go now to buy 1 kilogram of sugar, I will find unbelievable hardship in order to find or to secure this 1 kilogram. And
First to
even
find
if
it and then to pay for it.
yeah, of course, let us speak about the first process. The process of finding. After that, we have the process of paying. So I have to find big hardship to find this single kilogram of sugar. Okay, even if I found it, I have to pay the following. I have to pay the price of this sugar, which is imported from India, from Brazil, etc. And beside that, I have to pay three taxes over this 1 kilogram.
Yes.
The first tax is for Israel. The second tax is for PA. The third tax is for Hamas. So, so, if we speak, suppose this kilogram costs half a dollar.
And
Okay,
Mohammed, I'd
I
like to
have
mention something that you told us in an earlier program that people might have missed a little bit. Your family has maybe 8 or 9 olive trees. It's a very old tradition for people to have a little grove of olive trees where they raise their own olives and take those olives when they harvest in the fall to the press and produce the irreplaceable, wonderful olive oil. This year, when Muhammad took his crop in sacks to the press, there was a Hamas representative there, armed or not, I'm not sure, but he said, "You're going to pay this year $150 to use this collective community press to press the oil from your fruit. And if you don't pay, your harvest will go to waste." So let me jump from that to what many people might be thinking. What the outside world needs to do, perhaps, is to stop sending this aid, to political parties like PA and Hamas, because they are only stealing it. They are not doing the Palestinian people any good. They are doing them worse than that. Okay. And then, of course, to stop supporting with funds and weapons and everything else Israeli apartheid. But here's the thing, people would say, oh, if we do that, then the Palestinian people will suffer. Well, the truth is, you've said that the PA and Hamas would have no other support and they would collapse as a political entity, perhaps clearing the way for something new, right? And
yes,
B,
brother.
you would not be hurting the ordinary Palestinian people because they have nothing now. They have
Yeah,
nothing now. We've got to
and
find a
this
leverage to change something here.
Yeah, of course, brother, you are right. And this will enforce both of them to make unity, to make a united government, not
There you
two
go.
separated governments.
Yeah,
Yeah, yes, brother.
that's
Yeah,
where the power
uh,
is.
yeah. Yes, in the year 2015, I met with an Italian uh, ambassador in the European Union or in the European Parliament. I met her in a seminar was held here in Gaza. I told her after we finished the session of the seminar, I told her when she asked me frankly about my opinion, I told her, unfortunately, my lady, you are supporting the corruption. Your government and the other governments in Europe are funding those corrupted people who are stealing our money and going outside Palestine to buy and to possess real estate,
Yes,
buildings, companies in
yes,
Jordan, in Egypt, in Turkey, in the Arabian Gulf, even in Britain. Even in Britain, so many
yes,
Palestinian politicians are possessing so many real estates and palaces,
yes,
sweet
yes.
homes, buildings. Yeah, I told her that, frankly, without hesitation. I told her, unfortunately, your government and your European Union is supporting those thieves, and unfortunately, you doesn't talk.
Yes. Well, this may point to some kind of a point of leverage that if foreign aid were withdrawn from the PA and from Hamas by hook or crook, because it comes in the back door from Iran, and the official funding, you said, comes from Qatar and other countries, Turkey. If this funding were withdrawn, then the Palestinians would, in a sense, be forced to allow new elections and to bring some kind of new leadership that has a better idea than launching rockets at Israel in the it's less effective than the throwing of a stone. I think the world knows that the throwing of stones at the Israeli apartheid forces is a symbolic act. It's an expression of defiance, but it has to now move to the next level, perhaps.
Of course, brother. Unfortunately, we are destroyed by our corrupted people, by our corrupted politicians, and by the foreign hands, which pay them and send them the money, the millions and billions of dollars. If you wander, if you make wandering in the streets of Gaza, you will see by your eyes how people are starving. There is nothing for them to eat. If you go inside their houses, their kitchens, you will find those kitchens are totally empty. Nothing inside the kitchen. I told you many times, the lucky family in Gaza, it is the family that can find one or maximally two meals per day, but no one can secure three meals, except, of course, those thieves.
Yes. So where does it go from here, Mohammed? Do you think, well, you've often expressed to me that the Palestinian people in Gaza itself are so tormented by deprivation, so beaten down by bombing and artillery and rockets and conflict and the failure of policy after policy from Hamas that they are completely beaten down and they have no energy for what might even remotely be called an uprising. Is is there a feeling that there's any way to lift themselves up? If the outside world could stop the funding of the corruption, what would the Palestinian people want to be doing from within?
Uh, Believe me, brother, what will happen is something similar to what happened in the 11th September attacks, when the two high buildings used to fall. Uh, I uh, I uh, I believe that Hamas and PA are looking like those two towers. If the Western world decided to cut the funding, I promise you that directly, immediately, those two buildings will collapse, will fall, you know, without our intervention as Palestinian civilians, without our intervention. Only if the Western policy makers decided to cut this fund, I promise you directly, just within very few weeks or months, both of them will collapse, and they will be obliged to make a united government. They will enhance their performance with us as a people and with the foreign policy.
Do you think that the powers in Iran who are sending Hamas so many 18 million, I think you said, a month in support. Do you think the powers in Iran think that it's more important to be a problem for Israel with the Hamas active, or is it more important to them to help the Palestinian people? If it really came down to them, if they said to Turkey and to Qatar and to Iran and the EU and other places, stop funding the Palestinian corrupt system so that new leadership can emerge, do you think Iran would cooperate with that because they care more about the Palestinian people than about making trouble for Israel?
I think even if Iran insisted to continue supporting Hamas, I think this will not let Hamas stand, and this will not help Hamas to continue. Because if you compare this amount of money to what Hamas is receiving from Qatar, from Turkey, the Iranian money is something not too much.
I
I
see.
think if the Arab countries, if the European Union and USA, the American administration, if all of these parts decided to make a
Ah,
financial embargo against
yes.
both of PA and Hamas, yeah, I think they will make us very great favor. I will be so happy. They will do us very great favor because they will solve our problem.
As you can tell, ladies and gentlemen, as Muhammad's image sometimes freezes and then unfreezes, it's a function of the low bandwidth, which is needlessly imposed on the Gaza territory for their internet services. And we've often been cut off in the middle of a program, etc. I just wanted to mention why that is happening. That's an interesting point, though, Muhammad, because one of the campaigns against apartheid, not against Israel, but against apartheid, is BDS. And this sounds almost like it would be a form of BDS against Hamas and the PA. So wouldn't it be, I think, quite a gesture in the eyes of the Israelis to say the Palestinians so much want peace and justice that they are willing to do this to their own governments in order to move the conversation forward? Because I can only look at the track record. The PA and Hamas, they have done worse than nothing. They have no ideas except to kill and to continue to hate and to create fear. These are useless, worse than useless things.
Yes, brother. Of course, you are right. Unfortunately, they doesn't do anything useful to the Palestinian cause. They destroyed all our previous achievements, all the Palestinian achievements which were achieved in the recent decades were totally destroyed by Abbas government in West Bank and by Hamas in Gaza. I think during Arafat time, uh, maybe in the late 90s, I think I don't know if you remember. Here in Gaza, we had an airport. We had an airport was built here in Gaza,
Yes,
so we had the ability to travel directly from Gaza to everywhere in the world you want, and also during Arafat time, before the second Intifada, in the year 2000, we had also a port, a naval port. So you can find your way to the world, whether through Mediterranean or
yes.
by the airport. But now we are totally sieged. Now our unemployment rate exceeds 65%. It's a very horrible percentage. Very
And
horrible.
the airport was destroyed, right? Is anything operating
Yes.
there now, going in or out?
No, no, no. It was destroyed totally, and
Yes,
now it became a deserted area.
I see. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to point out that one other thing here, that Muhammad and I's most recent two programs have been about the ancient Palestinian village of Shafir, from which Muhammad's ancestors hail. But as it happens tonight, with recent developments in the life of Gaza and the Palestinian people, it seems as if we have been enthusiastically moved into a conversation of current events and a glimpse of hope for activism on behalf of the Palestinians for the future. In other words, we're also running out of time because I want to honor Shafir, and there is still so much more to say about that and about Muhammad's family history moving from Shafir into Gaza that we really need the whole program. So we're going to come back to you very soon with that third program about ancient Shafir. And we hope that tonight's discussion has pointed some ways for your thinking. Family to family, how can I directly get involved? Contacting your own government to demand policy changes, especially among maybe the options that we've discussed tonight, that there needs to be a BDS movement toward the Palestinian leadership too, so that they can get out of the way and new people can create peace and well-being for their people. That's certainly not what they've gained so far. Finally, Muhammad said to me something tonight. We always have a little chat before our program, and he said, you know what the main goal of this whole confinement of our people is? The dispossession and erasure of our people is? I said, what? And he said, they want us to lose hope. They want us to lose hope. They want to break us psychologically. Perhaps we are slowly starving to death and dying of malnutrition. That's a fact. But they want us to lose hope. So Muhammad and I, as two brothers across the water, I've written about the ancient Palestinian people, and he is writing about the modern ones, and we're doing all we can to prompt activism forward. Muhammad, anything else you'd like to add for tonight's program? And we'll come back and finish the story of Shafir with our next. What do you say? What do you think?
Yeah, yes, brother. I think, yeah. I prefer if we talk later, next time, about Shafir, because we have too many points to speak
Yes.
uh, about Shafir and how people used to immigrate or were forced to immigrate from Shafir. For
Yes,
today, yes, brother. I want to say something finally.
please.
Yeah, yeah. They want to kill the hope inside our hearts and inside our souls. And I think, frankly, that to uh, to a large extent, I think they succeeded. They succeeded in their mission. Uh, because if you look today to people, really, too many people in the streets are talking with themselves. You know, they are talking with themselves. Uh, I think
Psychological damage.
yeah, I think what happened to them, the harm which happened to them, is something more than psychological. I think it looks like a mental uh, uh, maybe problems. Believe me, 2 days ago, I was walking in the night. I found so many people in this case are talking with themselves, you know. So, yeah, Israel and its puppets, its small kittens, the corrupted kittens. I think all of them, they are trying to kill us from inside. I think, as I told you, they succeeded. So I only ask the Lord to interfere and to help us because no human now is trying to help us. If you see what happened in Ukraine, in Turkey, I think, or I read in the newspaper that more than 90 countries used to supply Turkey
Yes.
with AIDS, you know, with AIDS.
Yes.
So what about Gaza? What about us? I know that Turkey is a rich country and they have a fertile land, they have good crops and rich agriculture, and I think they cannot suffer from famine, even if they have 1,000 earthquakes. So what about Gaza? What about Gaza? This forgotten coffin.
Where the famine is
this,
imposed. The famine is put
yeah,
on them. It's not that they live in one because they accept it. It's imposed on them.
yeah. And you know our agricultural lands are very limited. We cannot make agriculture to
Feed
to feed
yourselves.
us with
Yes,
enough production, with enough fruits, you know.
yes.
So what about Gaza? This siege, this closed coffin, this closed box. What about Gaza? Unfortunately, no one is talking about Gaza.
Mohammed, just the eloquence of your words tonight and how much you care about your family and your people inspires, I think, the world to think twice about this situation and to finally begin to rise. I think the curve of history is with us and it's with you in the courage that you show every day, in the beauty of the way that you live with your young family, the goodness that we can see in their faces. And I hope people, this is not a perk, but rather we are urging you to see Muhammad and his life for the human beings that they are at jackdempseywriter.wordpress.com. jackdempseywriter.wordpress.com. We've published a lot of material there about the life in Gaza around the seasons, and we hope you'll get to know it. One other thing we'll say defiantly, right into the teeth of what seems to be the despair of this situation, is that Muhammad are doing family to family, and over maybe 6 programs now we've been talking about this and inviting people to get involved. And you know what? Not one person has even contacted us about it. You know that? Not even one person. So this is heavy on our hearts. It's surprising as hell. But we want the world to know that if eventually we get even one person to connect with one other person in Gaza and it results in helping that person, then it was worth it. That's how we feel. And I know, I know that you will be happier in your heart than maybe you've ever been by developing a friendship with the Palestinian people and helping them out every way they can. Listen to what's happening, look at it, ask why, and we'll see what we can do about it together. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your listening this evening. Hope you'll tune in for the next one about the final phase of the village Shafir, Muhammad's ancestral home. And we wish peace for the whole world. Muhammad, good night. I hope you rest well and safely. Love to your whole family. And we will talk very soon.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.